Mrs. Thompson's Garden, a story of hope and healing **** in a quiet little town called Meadowbrook, where the breeze smelled of wildflowers and birds sang with the morning sun, there lived an old woman named Mrs. Thompson. She was in her 80s, graceful, soft-spoken, with silver hair always pinned neatly and eyes that seemed to have seen a lifetime of stories. Her house sat at the end of a winding road, wrapped in a garden that bloomed in every season. The children believed it was magic, and the adults, though they never said it aloud, believed it too. But the magic wasn't in the flowers, it was in her heart. One day, a young couple, Daniel and Rachel, moved into the cottage next door. They came with big dreams, hoping the countryside would bring peace. But reality hit hard, money was tight, jobs were scarce, and slowly, their joy began to fade. Arguments replaced laughter, and love began to drown in silence. One cold evening, after a painful fight, Rachel sat outside crying, and quietly, Mrs. Thompson appeared with a blanket and a thermos of tea. "No words tonight," she whispered gently, "just warmth." She sat beside Rachel in silence. Moments later, Daniel stepped outside, regret in his eyes. Mrs. Thompson smiled at them both and said, "Storms don't last forever, but kindness endures." From that night on, the couple often visited her garden. She taught them to plant seeds together, to pull weeds side by side, and to water not just flowers, but each other's dreams. Slowly, their laughter returned, not in bursts, but like gentle rain. Then there was Eli. He was 12, and alone. His uncle didn't care where he was, and life had been unkind. He wandered the streets, always hungry. One afternoon, he tried to steal apples from Mrs. Thompson's tree, but instead of scolding him, she looked into his eyes and said softly, "Hungry boys don't need punishment. They need pie." She brought him inside, fed him, let him help knead dough for an apple pie. "You've got strong hands," she told him, "good for building, for painting, or holding on to someone when they're hurting." And Eli cried. She didn't stop him. He came back the next day, and the day after, not for food, but for her stories, for the peace in her voice. She gave him books, space to study, and eventually, a job in her garden. Eli would grow up to be an artist. He'd open a youth center, and every time someone asked, he'd say, "It all started with an old woman and a stolen apple." And Mrs. Thompson's garden kept growing. People began to visit, not just neighbors, but strangers. Some came for advice. Some just sat on her porch in silence. She never turned anyone away. To the single mother overwhelmed with life, she'd say, ***, one breath at a time. Don't try to hold the whole sky alone. ***, to the grieving widower who hadn't spoken in months, she'd offer tea and a deck of cards. ***, you don't have to speak. Just be. ***, to the teenager who felt invisible, she'd whisper, ***, you are seen, and you matter, more than you know. ***, and then, one soft spring morning, with sunlight pouring through her window and birds singing outside, Mrs. Thompson passed away. She left no riches, but what she gave was far more valuable. In her will, she donated her land to the town to be turned into a public garden, a place to rest, to heal, to remember. At the entrance, carved into a simple wooden arch, were the words she left behind, ***, where there is kindness, there is hope. Be the light, always. ***, and so, long after she was gone, Mrs. Thompson continued to heal. Her love lived on in every bloom, every breeze, every heart that found its way to her garden. Because sometimes, The gentlest souls leave the deepest footprints.